right, you guys, thanks for coming on today. Let's just talk more about what's going on today in our culture because this is major, and I want us to be really like present with it. I don't want to just teach didactic learning stuff because it's an opportunity now for us to just kind of accelerate our process of healing and when we're very present. So let's just like close our eyes and just come into our heart space. Like take a breath in and out and just come present into your heart and come present into your breath and experiencing the quiet, the stillness, and the peace that is more prevalent. Finding that quiet and peace and focus within you. Knowing that this inner reality defines our daily reality. And if we can operate from this place of peace and love, we can co-create, really create a beautiful life. Okay, so open your eyes, and that's the ultimate lesson, right? And I definitely, for sure, how many of you have kind of gotten swept into the the YouTube videos and the conspiracy theories and the, oh my God, Bill Gates is the anti that and all of this stuff, I mean, it's hard not to, because I feel like a lot of people are, it's like, did you see this? Did you hear this? And it's like, it's impossible to escape unless you're completely in a bubble. And it's fascinating. It like draws you in. It's drama. So I watched Star Wars with Ryan. I don't watch a lot of movies, but Star Wars is all about dark and light, like the good and the bad. And like after I watched Star Wars, I couldn't go to sleep, and I got sucked into all this YouTube on, the Bill Gates stuff. And it was so much darkness and so much like, man, like that part of me was like, there was a lot of like, it's like you go into a vortex. Do you know what I mean? Like you're pulled in, like Anne-Marie said, you're like, it's like story that's spinning, and it's like you get into it. And then the next day, even in the morning, and like all the stuff that comes up, it's like it's showing me how crazy this is. And then I argue with my family about stuff, and it's hard. It's drama, but it's not really worth it. And I think we just it's challenging because we are operating from a place of love and positivity and healing and what I would say light. And sometimes that attracts the opposite, like, it totally does. But I think it's really important for us to find a place of neutrality and where our boundaries are with this stuff. So I don't know if I've shared this story. If I've shared this story already, then tell me. I think I kind of like had an epiphany in the last case taking class where it was just a couple days before all of this hit. And my friend was staying with me, and she had a baby. And then I was at the hospital, and there was so much love because a baby was born. And then my other very good friend in Hawaii, Sarah, actually, who some of you took a class from, had the baby like 2 hours after my friend. So it was like 2 babies born together. It was like a really like wonderful, positive love explosion feeling. And I was just like, I was kind of in this like buzzy high feeling. And then it was a Thursday night, and when I work Thursday nights, and like I had the craziest appointment I have ever had, and it was so dark. And it was like I walked away from it just saying like, that was the craziest day, because my morning was like hospital babies just being born. And then my night, the appointment was very dark because the person started speaking in multiple voices and saying really weird things, and was very parasitic, very demonic if you could like ever feel like you're talking to somebody who needs an exorcism, this was it. And it has never happened to me to this extreme. It was very, 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 and I was just, afterwards, I was like, wall, wall, wall. Like, insanity is not mine. This insanity, like, it was insanity. Like, there was no way I could do anything but pray. And that's what I did. I got off somehow, and I just was like, oh dear God, this is, I pray for this person. I send love to this person, but I can't deal with it. Like, I'm not even gonna try. Like, that's out of my, and then I realized this is like what was really beautiful about that day. That was like Thursday, and then all of this hit like the following Wednesday or Thursday. Um, was that the babies came first. The birth, the love and the light came first. And then all the craziness came. And so it makes me wonder, is there something that like was born on this planet, like these babies? What is come onto this planet that is beautiful, that's creating this shakeup too, right? And so that's the dark and the light, that polarity. And I think if we just can be aware of that, it can really help us. We can seek the positive, and we can seek the way to kind of expand the positive in our life, and like see the patterns that are showing up for us. Because like a lot of old stuff, I feel like, you know, the astrology, what's happening right now, it wants to dig up the dark stuff and show it to us. So yeah, anybody have experiences like this? We're going to talk today about reptile remedies, spider and reptile remedies, right? And so these are remedies that really can represent the darker aspects of ourselves. And it's so powerful to be able to use them to work on our shadow. And I was watching a Zen master, Ken Wilber Zen master, talk last night on YouTube, and he was like, the only thing we should be doing now is shadow work, like going into what you don't want to see, because everything that's tossed up into our culture right now is everything that we've been hiding and suppressing and pushing down. It's all the shit, you know, and it's like, it's not even going to the shadow. He's like, it's going into the shit. Meaning everything that we don't want to see, our hidden tendencies, our violence, our whatever we sweep under the rug. And it's really, really cool that we have this tool of homeopathy. Very rarely, hardly ever is homeopathy listed up there as this like new, you know, it's like permaculture, shamanism, you know, like is going to save the world. Very rarely do people say homeopathy, but we know we have this tool. It's so wonderful for seeing these like really darker patterns in us and taking the remedies and letting them be released. So yeah, has anybody like read about the reptilians and like the idea that there's a conspiracy of that out there? Yes. No, the Tiger King. The Tiger King. Yeah, what's the Tiger King phenomenon? Is that this TV show about the guy who's into the tigers? Oh, yeah, I watched that, a part of that too. Yes, lizard people, trash. Yeah, yeah. And tell me about the Tiger King. How do you feel like that relates to it? Just because the guy was so kind of dark, or um so this was a guy who like had like kept like 60 tigers in a small area, and um 230. Yeah. 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 Um yeah, and so you know, I feel like we have this tendency, even with conspiracy theories, to blame, to point the finger, you know, and it's so easy because our whole culture does it. And ultimately, with homeopathy or with healing in general, we learn that we have to just see what we have inside of ourselves, you know? And so it's like often what we criticize and what we blame, there's something there that resonates with us. So I think it's important to recognize that, you know? Obviously, there are times where, you know, you're riding a bike and you get hit by a car and you're like, that car did it, you know? There's a time to like point the finger. But at the same time, we give our power away when we say that other things are responsible for our victimhood, you know. And there's always, this is really important when it comes to spiders and snakes, is that is a strong blaming energy, a strong parasite energy, and a strong victim energy. And the archetypes that are always playing out in people's lives are perpetrator victim. Okay. And you have to stay the victim because you've agreed in order to like continue these relationships and these drama loops. And then there's the rescuer, which is like the healer or the homeopath or whoever, you know. And what people with this shadow, the victim perpetrator shadow, try to do is loop you into it. Rescue me, or like be a part of my drama, or I'm blaming this person, so you blame this person too, you know. And so to really heal and identify our old patterns and like dig them out, we have to say like, what am I blaming, and like what is that showing about me, and how can I cut that tie? Yeah. Yes. So we're all reptilian in the sense that we have this reptilian brain, right? We have the hind brain, our survival brain. And we have what's called our root chakra, the kundalini, the snake, the coiled snake, which is our power. And we are all spiders too. We all have aspects of all of these animals, I feel. It's just tendencies towards one or the other. So yes, getting out of the victim, perpetrator, rescuer loop is very important. And then to get out of the loop, we just witness it too. We can kind of step back and just say, okay, I see the drama. I witness it. It's funny. It's kind of like, sometimes it's like, you know, soap opera, you know, you don't take it that seriously. And we have to just find our own truth, our own experiences, you know, and speak from there, you know, and instead of getting into like the vaccine debates and stuff like that. It's like, well, in my life and my truth, you know, and I think this is what will speak the most powerfully to people out there, is when you're just like, in my personal experience, and I don't have to throw research at you, vaccines had a bad effect on my kid, or I know that metals were problematic, or public school didn't work out, you know. And you tell your story because your stories right now are really powerful for people who, because most of you have already kind of stepped out of the mainstream. You've questioned it, you know, and you've gone through steps to really like, you know, change your life in a different direction. And that's actually making you a little bit of like, now, you know, people might be looking to you for guidance and looking to you as like a model for, how do I do this at home with my kids? How do I heal my own kids? How do I teach my own kids? Right? Anybody? So, so yes, the conspiracy theories, man, it's so like, it so wants to suck us in. It's so amazing, you know, and everything is connected. And that's the point of the spider thing I want to keep talking about, is that we are a web, you know, like all of our relationships. Have you guys heard of like cords? You know, when you have like a relationship cord, it's a tie. So when we have a relationship to somebody, it's an energetic connection, and you can see it as like a tiny spider's thread, you know. And then we're all on this web of connection where we're all connected to each other, and we're all feeling everybody's vibrations and energies, and I connect to you guys, and then you guys connect out there, and it's all, we're all connected, in this way. And so it is all a big pattern. And so we can see the conspiracy out there. It is pretty amazing. But we're not victims to it. Had to explain to somebody that paying for my son's treatment is essential. Yeah. 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 So what is it that you guys are like seeing right now and feeling like maybe needs to change in your life, or maybe you're seeing will change in society around you, or are you just completely day by day like oblivious to what's going on? I feel like being the way that we can kind of ride through this gracefully is to really let old patterns die, and the spider and the snake and all homeopathy is really about letting old patterns die, being present to what's there. And how do we let old patterns die? That's the brain retraining too, is like we see the emotions, we see the triggers, we see the patterns, we take a remedy, but then we also kind of come to our higher self, we surrender. And we go to that place where we really say, you take care of this, higher self, you take care of this. Oh, my ex-boyfriend's calling me. It's too much. I remember all this stuff from our relationship. It's showing up. I can't handle this. I'm getting sucked in. I'm not going to get sucked in. I'm going to go and surrender to my higher self. I feel more confident in speaking my truth now. Beautiful. I need to be more rural. I want to grow my own food. Yeah, I think some of those, these are super cosmic. I mean, I feel that there's like information just beaming from the earth or wherever, aliens or the earth, where it's like, okay, root yourself, do permaculture, grow your own food, remember what it is to be connected to the earth plan. The earth plan isn't just being technology. I'm not tolerating unhealthy things anymore, and say what I need to say, but it's not charged or emotional. I'm looking to get rural too. I think, oh man, yeah, probably a good time to buy some property if you have some extra cash in a rural place where there's good water. Yes, I agree. I've been present to patterns that are ready to be cleared out. I've been doing this healing work for a while. It feels like things have really shifted. It's easier to step back and be at peace. I've stepped back from my practice, and it's felt really good, like, because I just have to be taking care of Eva, and it's been really good. I feel like all of us in our family are trying to deal with each other and our energies because we can't leave. You're made to face each other. So connecting in healthy ways and also cutting off unhealthy energy transfers, affecting each other's energies. Wow, how do you do that? I'm starting a garden. It's a start. Us, yes, yes. I used to feel like a shamed little girl, like I should sit down and shut up, but I don't tolerate it anymore. Finding our voice. The reptile energy really, it kind of comes in and it creates a lie right here on the throat chakra. It's like, boom, lies. It really can really, like, I don't know. I think somehow it bypass. I think sometimes with the snake energy, there's an energy that goes into the mental and then through the mouth and then a bypassing of the heart. And I don't know, I have definitely seen a clearing of the snake energies and opening up to truth. And there's a lot of energy around the throat and constriction around the throat and the throat chakra with snake energy. Yeah. Yay. Yay. So maybe we'll all have gardens pretty soon. I don't have a green thumb, but I realized, I kept thinking like, we need like a landscaper to live with us. And then today I was like, no, I just got to learn how to do this. How hard can it be? People have done it like, for all of humanity. I can grow some stuff. I want to do a hay bale garden. Oh, hay bale garden. Okay, cool. It's just dirt. Oh, right. Yes, it's just dirt. Right. It's what we are. Separating emotional ties with my husband's narcissistic family and stop even being polite to them, just ignoring them. Yeah, I think there's a time for boundaries, really strong boundaries and saying no, and we've talked about that no before. Um, okay, good. Good. Release it all. And then open to new, is it new to become a gardener? It's kind of like it's really, I mean, Schulten's periodic table of elements where we're all just coming back into this cycle of like it goes like technology, leadership, power, Orem series. And then once you hit the uranium series, it's like everything explodes. We're in a uranium explosion. And Einstein said this: I don't know what weapons are going to be used for the Third World War, and it's going to be scary. But I know what weapons are going to be used in the Fourth World War, and it's going to be sticks and stones, right? So it's like we are in this like very destructive stage of humanity, where it's kind of like returning. I don't know. Do you guys remember when I taught the mineral series, when I taught the like I gave a little story spiel of humanity and civilization going from people living in huts to living in cities, and like becoming more and more advanced, and we're just getting to this level of advancement where it's like, okay, back to eating the roots, or there's going to be, there's going to be technology, people pumped full of technology with like little, I don't know, chips and placed in them and stuff. Um, yeah. Been blocking people who don't have any connection to me anyways, just shedding. Yes, shed. That's great. Yeah, we got to shed old skin. How can we be of service right now? I've just been like, okay, well, if I'm not meant to be like sitting in appointments like hour after hour after hour, which I feel like I don't, how am I of service right now? I found that like cool meme I posted up where it was like, what breaks your heart about the world? Did you guys see that? What I posted in Facebook? What breaks your heart about the world, and what your skills are, and where those overlap is your service. So what breaks your heart about the world? For I don't know right now if anything breaks my heart about the world, but is just how can we be of service? Right now, I'm really like being of service is just being happy and living life. And I have these moments where we have guests over and we're making breakfast, and I'm like, yes, we're living life. And then my friend put on this disco song. It's like Born to Be Alive. Born to Be Alive. And we were like, yeah. And like, we're born to be alive. Like, what are we here for? We're born to be alive. We were like discoing. And do you guys know that there was like a international disco competition in 1978, and you can watch every country put out like a disco dance star. So if you want to really laugh and cheer yourself up, you have to watch this. So, yeah, I think just like saying, I've been like really into food, and like I want to like eat good food and like live soulfully and like have a good relationship with my husband, and yeah, dance party. um help people with homeopathy. It seems like a scary time to help people with homeopathy because we're so much under the radar. It feels like, yeah, I think the homeopathic path where we have to be like a homeopathic missionary, I let that go right now, and homeopathy might be have to go under its own like falling apart and then finding itself again. It's not like it's this intact system that's perfect, that's just going to completely fill the void. It has its flaws, and homeopaths don't agree with each other on things, and has a lot of its own ego problems, and maybe it'll all just be completely like shut down, and then we'll just have to remember it. Um, yeah, the missionary, the savior energy, the Jesus, I'm gonna rescue you. It's like people need to rescue themselves too. And sometimes for people to rescue themselves, they have to go to a really dark place. And if you're living your light, they might come to you for help. So, have you guys had connections with people from the past that you have not connected with for a long time? Tribe. Yeah, the retribing. It's time for us to build tribes of people who will contribute and appreciate us. Yeah, I've like been texting and connecting with really old friends, and just it's like whatever was in the way maybe of us connecting is just gone, because it's like if the world's not going to exist in a year, like, well, then I'd much rather I worked out everything that I wanted to work out with everyone that I love, right? So it's like any like old grudges or hidden anything, or I'm not going to talk to you with people that I really love, is just out the window. Yeah. It makes me sad to see so many people surrender their right to make choices. It takes courage to be happy. Making even simple choices gives you courage and strength. We always have a choice, we always have free will, and that's where our power is. That's how we get out of victimhood, is to say, I always have a choice. I always have free will. It is always there. And that's, even to the degree where, you know, Zen monks and nuns and various people, they'd be like, convert to this or die. And these people are like, I'll die, because their power was in making that choice. There's a power in that. Yeah. So I think if we can, the trouble is when we make choices from the reptilian, the fear brain, the reactionary brain, the anger, the reflexive brain, and if we can kind of train ourselves to kind of really operate from a fearless place of like really deep alignment with love, then nothing can be taken away. So yeah, community has been super important right now. I mean, it's kind of the dawning of the age of Aquarius, right? and like, what is that? What is that? It's technology is a part of Aquarius, but it's also community, one mind, love, and what else is Aquarius? I'm an Aquarian, but it's like it's thinking for the group. It's the group mind. It's not about just me as an individual and my needs. I found this like crazy quote when I was going through my notes for the snakes. Aquarians are the humanitarians, right? Right. And so how can we live a more humane life that we can have intimate relationships with people who matter to us, to neighbors, friends, people showing up in our life. I We're in a situation where Ryan and I built our house, but we built a studio house, and we built it for somebody else who then moved back to their old house. We had this like empty studio house, and we're like, who's gonna live in it? And I didn't feel like advertising, for someone to come to like interview them to live in the house. I felt like it should be someone who just shows up. And so I was walking through the co-op, and I was like, who's gonna live with us? And this guy shows up right in front of me who I had met like a couple years ago, and he's like, I really need a homeopath for my family. Will you be my homeopath? And I like the thought of who's gonna live with us was in my mind. I was like, do you need a place to live? And it just came out of my mouth. And he's like, actually, I do. My lease is up in June. And like we've been hanging out with them, and it's so amazing and so miraculous. So it's like, if you connect to your like higher self, and you're just like, I want some really awesome people to hang with who get me. Like like lead them to me, attract them to me. You can manifest it. I guess I'm saying that because you can manifest it because it manifested for us. So oh, my crazy quote, sorry. My crazy quote was this. So this was a snake case. It was elapse, and I was talking to the kid on Skype, and he goes like this. He says, "The future will be so high tech that I don't even have to use my legs." So he's a snake. I don't have to use my legs. Okay, I'll just be hooked up to a computer. That's kind of a dystopian kind of future. Like, are we going, like, it's weird, right? Are we evolving with technology, but we're also devolving? We won't need to use our legs. Like, was it Wall-E, the movie, where the people were just these blobs, like stuck to chairs, like drinking sodas or something? There was some movie. Does it matter that we have this human body that we can do all this cool stuff with? Oh yeah, Wall-E. Or are we just going to be trapped in our homes, stuck to our computer devices? Is that a reptilian agenda? Is that a reptilian idea? Okay, now we just don't even need legs. Is that kind of a weird, don't you find that a weird quote? I remember it, like, I was like, this kid needs a snake, and then he said that, and I'm like, oh my God, he so needs a snake. So, I have at the same time, I have another elapse case right now in Seattle, and it's a transgender male to female 20-year-old who's really anxious, really wiry, like, is on estrogen hormones and nicotine, and taking a lot of like nicotine, and history of a lot of self-harm, suicidal thoughts. Needed anacardium and then a spider remedy, and then now elapse. It's this kind of like goth. This kid is like kind of really goth, all black, and all black makeup, and I think that's a theme too, kind of coming up right now. I've seen this with another homeopath, seeing the transgender thing is huge right now. Right? It's been big. It's been in a lot of, like, just the culture right now is in acceptance of transgender, which we can accept. But what Michelle Stevens and I have seen is that some of these kids, a lot of these kids, they actually just have a strong fungal element, which is changing their whole terrain, and so is it this choice that people are making, or is it just their terrain? Is it just the change of the terrain in their bodies because we've so just done this generational, blast with antibiotics, completely changing our bioterrain, completely changing our hormonal evolution, plastics, estrogenics, it's very confusing, right? Like this kid isn't healthy, doesn't live a healthy life, lives under a lot of fear. Right? I've seen, definitely cases where there's a combination of spider and snake. And I guess you can just say there can be combinations of anything. I'm still covering the themes of this week. I will get to everything else, but the impact of 5G. This is a huge, huge, huge thing right now. Right. And I think I'm going to spend a class at some point soon, just really talking about remedies, because I'm doing research on that with Colin Griffith's stuff and just trying to learn more from other people. And if any of you are taking mobile phone, 5G, the polyradiation remedies, and are seeing kind of, before and after it impact, I would love to email me and tell me, because I want to have that information, because there's not a lot of provings. This is kind of new. I think that there's a relationship to, we can say for sure that there's a relationship to just a whole devastation of the immune system of humanity. Kind of like what happened to the bees, right? The bees all of a sudden just crashed, right? When is that going to happen to the humans? It's happened maybe a little bit. How much more is it going to happen? And we can say, yeah, like, what is that from? Is it from all the cell phone towers? Probably for the bees, right? The cell phone towers and the radiation and pesticides and what else do they put on, you know, the crops that are killing? So it's like, I don't think we have to say like direct correlation and what causes what. We already know that we've toxified things, and we already know that kids have suffered, bees have suffered, right? You guys already know that. This is not news. For some people, this is news. Some people are like, what? Really? No. You know? um yeah. Oh yeah, just tell me what happens when you take the 5G remedy. I'm just really curious about it. So that's something I think we need to kind of follow and go with. And you know, there's some weird symptom development. You know, I have one friend who has COVID in New York City who's like fizzing and buzzing and vibrating in the body. And to me, I'm just feeling all of this like mold and like it's that kind of fungi mold. I don't know if you guys saw Jeremy Scher's presentation, and I spoke a little bit about it, but he has like a miasm. That's the FARC miasm, which is fungi, AIDS, radiation, and cancer, which is the whole uranium series, right? This is what we're moving towards, right? With the radiation is the fungi, cancer, miasm, you know, super sensitivity, structures broken down, feel everything, tendency to cancer. A bunch of you guys are in that arena. And I think you know, the AIDS piece of it, he throws in there because Jeremy's treated a lot of AIDS in Africa. But we can just say instead of AIDS, it's just immunodeficiency with a strong viral component, right? A strong immunodeficient component, and we can say it's pandas or autism or whatever. I did a class on COVID, just COVID, like 2 classes ago before this. So yeah, that was just a little note that I had in my notes. But I think it's appropriate to think about now. So we had a really good discussion on Friday with about 10 or 11 moms. And you guys are like doing good. It wasn't like every person was like, I need help and blah, 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 blah. I mean, yes, there was struggle with, you know, teenagers at home and, you know, people annoyed at each other. But what I loved was how much you guys are really like getting this. It's like you've got the tool set. You've figured out already what it means to kind of be at home with your kids. And I feel this little feeling that you guys are a little bit ahead of the curve. And so it's great. You know, it's really cool. And like, there's a feeling of being blessed. I mean, I think the flip side of all the crazy news out there is if you're feeling like your life is pretty good, you're like, wow, thank God, I'm so blessed, you know. But we're cramped, we're trapped at home. Somebody mentioned the remedy of wild horse, or horse, lac equinum, or the wild horse, which I don't know what it's called, is really good for being trapped at home and wanting to get out. And we had a really good discussion with Kari yesterday. It was very stimulating, and people really liked that discussion we had. And I put the kind of quick notes in. She didn't kind of create a presentation. She just kind of shared verbally what she was doing. And she's treated 30, you know, supported 30 suspected or already having COVID cases. But what she's really seeing is just flu, like this year's flu. And I have seen this as well, being just gnarly. You know, it's hard to know, you know, is this the flu? Is this COVID? Does it matter? Giving arsenicum the first day is what she's doing. The second day, giving oscillococcinum 6 times a day and doing that for 3 days. And then if the cough develops, she'll do bryonia or Hepar sulf. Bryonia if it's dry, Hepar sulf if it's wet. If the cough worsens into like can't get it out, amp tart. And then if the cough, if it's a case that's really suppressed and goes into a heavier place, camphor coca or carbo-veg for the breathing. Pretty basic. I mean, she's using basic remedies and stuff like we all know. That's a lot of oscillococcinum. And the way that she described that was that oscillococcinum activates the liver and the heart, I think she said, to stop the virus in its tracks. I don't know where she got that information. I think it's interesting. Oscillococcinum is liver as a remedy, so maybe it's some sort of like, stop the viral reproduction or the, clearing it out of the liver. We had a nice comment on the syphilitic, like how much this is the syphilitic miasm. Our leaders, syphilitic, power, telling us, ruling by fear, telling us if we leave our houses, we're going to kill someone, cutting us off, from society resource, going after people, a lot of power and control. So that was good, and you guys should watch it if you get the chance, but it's not on YouTube, so download it. And then I guess the last like theme of this week is, anybody allergies? Allergy Central? Yes or no? Yes. I don't know. My allergies are a bit worse this year than they have been, and I think it's because I've been doing a lot of yard work and we're clearing a lot of brush off our property. Plus, I was just eating tons of fermented food. But I just had to kind of go high potency myself. I did basilinum, agaricus, and mixed mold. And then I also have the hay fever combo. And the hay fever combo is a little bit lower potency, and it has the remedies red and histaminum. But I included some of like the common remedies I've been using for people. Euphrasia, so sweet for like the eyes and the itching of the eyes. Yeah. An Amish healer told me he heals his allergies by eliminating aluminum. Yeah. So yeah, and I think we brought that up in the tautopathy class at some point, that aluminum predisposes us to allergies, and that's one of the huge things with people who are vaccinated. They have more allergies, and kids in general have more allergies now. We kind of know that. So allium cepa, yeah, that's a good one for just like the drainage, like the wet, and just kind of. Is that what was happening, Moira? Was like the water kind of coming out of your nose? And I honestly, like, I had to just go high potency. I was doing like 1M and 10M with some of these. Tuberculinum, basilinum. Basilinum is tuberculinum, but it has more of a fungal materia medica to it. Agaricus is, so basilinum, tuberculinum is like the weak lungs, that miasm. Agaricus, if it's that like crazy itch where it's like the nerve in your nose is like, and you like have these like huge sneezes, and you're kind of spacey and out of it, is good for agaricus. Pulsatilla for just the like thick, nonstop, goopy, kind of too much heat, too much stagnation. Arundo, tell me what keynote you have for Arundo. Histaminum, if you're just like, wow, my histamines are so high, a couple doses of high potency of histaminum can help bring it down. Euphrasia, itchy eyes, bladder, wheezy chest, mixed mold for, it's a strong mold sensitivity. Full and itchy ears, lycopodium. Anybody else on the full itchy ears? I think itchy ears can actually also be a histamine thing. What I get for itchy ears, let me look up itchy ears with allergies too. Oh. Okay. Itchy ears, full. Wyathia is full itchy ears, which is a common, which is Wyathia is supposed to be for that, you know, when you want to like scratch the back of your throat, feeling. Wyathia. Yeah, the hay fever one is pretty good. Heat from the shower makes me want to itch my eyes out. Interesting. That sounds like sulfur. Like maybe some like sulfur. Sulfur can have a lot of allergies. Sulfur 6C. Oops, that was meant to go to everybody. Yeah. Nux for the ears. Oh, great. That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah, some of the itchy ears, sometimes I wonder if that's fungal too. Anyways. All right, let's talk spiders. So I'm going to pull up the notes. Let's see. Okay. All right. So, Katrina Horn put into our Facebook group the like positive side of the spiders, which I really liked because I didn't include them, and so I just put this here. And the spiders are the creative, energetic, sensitive, manifesting people. Inner energetic awareness, math, art, geometric patterns, high level pattern recognition, right? So that's really wonderful. One of the cases I'll just share with you, the next case I'm going to show you, was a mom who was a professional numerologist. She would go really deep into numbers and the meaning of numbers, that was like and then, yeah, we'll get into the case. In myth, it's often the female spider, like in Charlotte's Web, the spider's a female. And I think in like Greek mythology, or even in Lord of the Rings, that big massive spider thing, it's like a female, and so it's associated with female energy, powerful female energy. 8 legs. So one of you had a kid, it was a tarantula case I was giving tarantula to, and the boy was saying 8 people go up, 8 people go down, 8 people go up. I just thought that was really interesting because like that's the dimension of 8 in the spider. Let's see. Yeah, that was Crystal's. Crystal's child. Crystal is you've got the web going on in your home. The web, like, what is this web? It's any of you guys had dreams, or what are your feelings about web? I mean, the energy of web itself, tela aranea, and I'll show you this in the differential, is a really interesting remedy for like being in a fog of, like a mental fog. And it's kind of like the web is like come up around you, and like you've burned out too many of your connections, and so we are this web, we are these connections. When these connections in this web gets bogged down, when it gets stagnant, when our webs get old, when we have parasitic connections, spider remedies or the web tela aranea can help loosen that, so we can be free again. Let's look at the spider differential. Okay. Oh, I just wanted to mention, in the spider differential, one remedy I didn't put into the notes for it is Tegenaria domestica, which is the house spider. It's a domestic house spider, and I can't find a proving on it. I looked around. Julie Mann told me it's kind of a spider that just kind of feels like it's bullied and gets angry, and I was like Staphysagria, and she's like, yeah, but I took it, and I was thinking, I want to take a spider remedy that doesn't have the strong such a strong spider quality to it, but can still clear some of the neurologic aspects of it. So I took Tegenaria domestica, and I ended up referring kind of a phosphorusy kid that had ADHD that I was putting on butterfly. And then we did this remedy instead because the mom was like, my kid's got so much spider stuff, but he's like sweet. He's like a lycopodium, sweet kid. And we can think of that with spiders and snakes too. It's like there's qualities in those remedies where we can choose the grass snake, you know, for a sweet person that needs to come into her power, her like deep reptilian power, right? Is, you know, it doesn't have to be such the more violent side of those remedies. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's look at the differential. Okay. Okay. Oops, I wanted to throw this all down. Okay, you guys remember like all of the themes of it: hyperactivity, rhythmic. So much of like classic ASD symptoms really fit spider. And a lot of like really strong ASD case kids. And pandas kids, I mean, it's just so powerful. You guys use these spider remedies. Sometimes, I mean, one time I was treating a girl who just loved to bake. She had, you know, was home all the time. She had pandas, but she would like flip out and have these rages on her mom. And I was like giving like Hyos, and then I just had the feeling of giving a spider remedy. I didn't have quite the like indications for it with like the dancing and the music, and that, you know, it helped. It really, really helped. So they're good fallback remedies. These are quotes from some other homeopaths on spiders that I'm going to let you guys read through, but they're worthwhile reading. I think we kind of covered it last week. So we'll talk about a tarantula case. You know, this is the most common spider remedy. It's just kind of like the fallback remedy. You know, if I've even given this remedy to Eva. One time I took her to the library, and it was like a story time. And there was a kid in there that was doing this kind of like break dancing movement. You know, when like they do the break dance where the legs spin around and the hands in the middle. Break dancing is super spidery, by the way. Anyways, there's a kid that was like doing break dancing, and Eva was just kept staring at this kid. And then I went to like pick her up, and she like scuttled away on like her hands and feet, and like all fours, like, don't come and get me. And I was like, it was really weird that she didn't want me to come and pick her up. And then when I picked her up, she just started to tantrum. And I knew there was like something happened, like it was like a bad energy came onto her. And she was so absorbed in this kid that was doing this breakdancing movement. And this was a kid who in every event that he was at caused some trauma or violence or pushed a kid, was very, very, very challenging child. And I said, I was carrying her. I was like, whatever is in you right now, leave right now. Like, this is not my child. I was like, leave now. And I muscle tested, and it was tarantula. She needed the remedy of tarantula, and I gave it to her, and it was just like, boom. You know, it was like a weird energy parasite thing that happened. So anyways, yeah, you know, tarantula can be a great remedy for even what seems like a quick onset of like weird, violent, you know, parasitic behaviors in a child, if that makes any sense. Yeah. Is there another nosode close to tarantula? Do you mean like a remedy from a disease, a nosode? I would say the closest nosodes to tarantula would be, in the spiders in general, would be tuberculinum. Apart from tuberculinum, carcinosin, tuberculinum. There's some syphilitic aspects, but I'm not using syphilinum that often with like in reality with the spider remedies. I'm using mostly like tuberculitum. Actually, AIDS nosode. So the AIDS nosode, partly because of that, what I talked about, that the FARC miasm, the fungi, AIDS, radioactive, and like the spider remedy of that kind of wired, broken down nervous system. And partly because I did, have a spider case that I gave the AIDS nosode to too. And I'm seeing the AIDS nosode kind of like have a strong New York quality to it too. New York has that energy of AIDS, and a lot of big cities do. Poor boundaries, a lot of glamour, money, excess, and holing up in my house. Another, somebody else told me that there's a overlap with the COVID virus and AIDS, or like they think that there's like an AIDS component to COVID. So I think that could be a useful remedy to try. Do they have to be negative manipulated for them to need a spider remedy? Yeah, exactly. And so that's why I was like, the tegenaria, the house spider, can be there. It's kind of a mischievous. Sometimes you can just see it as like a mischievous kind of energy in their face or in their eyes, that desire to kind of sneak up on you and jump on you, you know? Yeah, rage from fight or flight is ultimately, if it's like an adrenaline rage because your guy is so like kind of worn down, and then the adrenaline peaks, then I would say adrenaline, the Solanaceae family, and then also within the Solanaceae family, not just Belladonna, Hyos, and Stramonium, but think of Atropinum. So that's Atropinum. That's the tubercular version of Belladonna, and it's like atropine itself. But what I've seen is a weak lung picture with Atropinum. It's like a belladonna with weak lungs. And tobacco, for that fight or flight, with rage. So yeah, not everyone's gonna like fit the spider thing. High strung nerves can also, be from other things. Can be that real fungal component too, that tubercular piece. But that, the feigning illness, I see this as a homeopath. And I think I put it in my notes for the spiders and the snakes, is that intuition is so awesome because people are used to not really tapping into their full truth. We have a hard time culturally truly speaking our truth. We always have to be nice. We always have to be happy. We always have to gauge what the other person's going to perceive us as, and speak to what the other person is going to, it's like we're totally in this like warped way of communicating. And so it's like, I just love intuition and like muscle testing and pendulum testing or whatever it is, or intuiting, because really like there's what people tell you isn't always true. Yeah, truth was educated out of us. I mean, were we even taught the truth? Yeah. Now, tobacco has this quality of kind of woozy, spacey, it's a big remedy, a wonderful remedy for nausea. And it's like that fight or flight when you're on a boat and you're feeling like you have to vomit and you can't kind of figure out where things are at. So tarantula is, I'll share a case on it. Tarantula cubensis. So we had talked about a case of one of your kids in our group, in our case taking class, where we gave Tarantula cubensis, and there were boils, and that was, it's nice to kind of find these small little aspects of a remedy to kind of clue you into it. But I also just like to muscle test for them. So a lot of like, what does a spider do is it creates a massive like gnarly bite on your skin. And so people that have these like unhealed wounds or boils or deep sepsis, that can be snake and that can be spider. Um, I've often heard like, oh man, they both inject, they both have venom. So that's interesting. How to differentiate that. The venom of snakes is a little bit more of like a blood venom, whereas the venom in spiders is a little bit of a neurological venom. So that might help differentiate. Aranea diadema. So that case I showed you from Hong Kong of the kid with the like cross on his face, the bandage, and they were like really nice people. And like Lou Klein says, these are people who want to rebel against the expectations of them. They're demanding, perfectionistic. Their parents don't recognize them. So it could be people who are really kind of by the book, but really, perfectionistic and this kind of Asian, not to be, too judgmental, but there's a style of kind of tough Asian perfectionism that really fits the spider energy too. And I just have seen it in a lot of my cases from Asia. Yes, frantic panic about the health and well-being of a child can be also Aranea. Latrodectus is a really interesting, and I'm going to share a case with you right now, is there's like a near-death shock, and you like, it feels like a paralyzing experience to you. And so then you create this anxiety around your heart, right? It could be, I almost died, or this terrible thing happened. And, there's a lot of feelings around the chest and, vomiting and fear of death, a lot of blaming. We'll just kind of, Theridion is supposed to be very sensitive to noise. I've given it here and there. I mean, obviously a lot of ASD kids are super sensitive to noise. This is just something you kind of want to be able to muscle test for. Talkative, restless, confused, very sensitive to noise, right? So that could be a good possible remedy for, not so crazy and manipulative, but highly neurologic. Maybe they like the color orange. Tela-Aranea, I spoke of, this kind of dull, absent-minded, spaced out. The way that people like colors and patterns, you can pay attention to that. Everything is pattern. Everything in our existence is a pattern or a fractal, and like we're mathematical equations on some level. And so, so I just prescribed salmon for a case, but in the case, the photo the mom gave me, there were like multiple dots going on the child's belly, white dots like this. And the mom said when she got some sort of infection, it was like white vertical dots across her skin. And I was like, well, salmon have that. So, we can kind of pay attention to some of these things sometimes. Like, wait, why is this? What is this? Is this like, am I like an alien? It's like, well, the alien part of you is saying, well, maybe you're just a bird or a spider. Ethically completely lost. I've given this remedy to people who've had really bad Lyme disease or bad viral infections, or who've like kind of burned themselves out in too many ways, taken too many drugs, partied too much. A little bit of like a tarantula person burned out. Scorpion, I haven't given a lot. I don't know if I've ever really truly had a good scorpion case. It's kind of a scary materia medica, the way that I see Lou Klein talk about it. Survival of the individual at all costs. I think of scorpion when I think of like I don't know. Some of like when you know when you they show like videos of war in the Middle East and like the people all living and like going underground and like you're trying to catch this person and they're scurrying underground and the way that they kind of described the personality of the dictators and stuff. This is what I think of with Scorpion. Survival at all costs, a lot of violence, a lot of hypervigilance, a lot of commando, enemy forces, maybe like Colombia, you know, like that kind of energy is what I think of when this is described to me. So, but I'm not. Um, Severe sleeplessness, so it could be a good remedy for insomnia. And then the brown recluse, sentimental, forsaken, melancholy, suicidal depression, difficult concentration, wounds, bites on the skin. Um, so let me show you a case of this. A very intense remedy person. Why? Have you seen a scorpion person? I mean, you could kind of equate it to Scorpio, you know, the astrology. Um, but yeah, maybe this one is coming down the pipeline for me at some point. We'll see. My husband needed it a few years ago. Okay, well, you could tell us probably a lot about him. Um, yeah, I mean, commando surrounded by enemy force, desire to hide under a rock, delusion alone in the world, detached, feeling that others are insane. Children say, like, my whole family is crazy, blaming others, very sarcastic and hurtful. It's like, wow, that sounds very dark. It's like the dark side of, you know, it's like dendroaspis is the black mamba, is a very heavy, dark snake remedy. It's like, this is a fairly dark picture of a spider remedy. The vial coming out of the box of Scorpion made my arm hurt. Yeah. Craving chocolate, oranges, better, coffee, bulimia, overeating, anorexia, and bulimia. I would say that's all of the spiders. Um, yeah. Okay, let's look at some cases. Oh. Brian got bit by a scorpion once when he was in New Mexico, and they called poison control, and you can't do anything about it except just let the poison go through it. And he could feel it course up his leg, and then it came all the way up to his head, and he lost his vision. And it was a very small one where they identified it, and they're like, it will just pass, and it was a pretty terrible thing. Okay. All right, so this is a case of Latrodeptus mactans, which is the black widow spider. And this is a case of the mom who was the numerologist, and she was really cool. She she found out all of my number information and gave me this whole like read up on it. So that's that kind of looking at the patterns, the bigger patterns. If people have had bites, do you do clears for them or their kids? I never did a scorpion clear. I never had Ryan take the remedy scorpion. I mean, he's so not that. You guys might get a feel for Ryan. He's pretty much the softest, gentlest, kindest, sweetest person. So not necessarily, you know. I mean, I don't know. We talked about like the insects a couple weeks ago, and I took Culex. Like I was like, I'm gonna take this one because I get mosquito bites like nobody else, and I think I've not done topathy for bug bites because it hasn't been like on my mind. But you can, if you were just kind of inundated and toxified, and so there's some of these cases are here, and so and I talk about that, and so it's like. One of the cases I'm like, wow, I think this kid needs an energy from the brown recluse And the mom's like, oh my God, I had those spider bites, you know, after I prescribed it. She's like, I almost lost a leg from the brown recluse when she was a teenager. And I was like, okay, great. Well, that just confirms it, you know. So Culex was awesome for your kids. I would love to hear more about that. Yeah, Culex. Yeah, that's cool. For those of you who don't know, Culex is mosquito. So this kid, this family had something running in the family where they had a neurological tumor that would press on a certain part of their like vagus nerve, and then they'd pass out. They literally would just like pass out. I think her and her brother had it. So the mom and her brother had it, and her kid had it. And so it's weird, right? Like a tumor that's kind of like genetic. And I never kind of thought, is that something that's specifically spider, but the spider comes up in the sensation process very strong here. This was a 4-year-old, had an ASD diagnosis fairly strongly, you know, no eye contact, spinning, ADHD, can't sit still. Mom felt that he had ASD even before he had shots. No back and forth conversations, a lot of sensory issues, cutting hair, brushing teeth. You guys can kind of see some of this being kind of spidery, right? Indoor trampoline, jumping all the time, hyperlexic. I was thinking like hyperlexic, but maybe dyslexic. You know, it's hard to say because kids naturally see things from both angles, and maybe spider kids do that more. I'm not sure. I haven't given spider remedies for dyslexia, but I've definitely seen people whose kids need spider remedies say, my kid is hyperlexic. He could read before he could speak. They could write before they could do anything. In that like shaman information on the spiders, it was like the spiders wrote the alphabet to the universe. It was so cool. Like they are the ones, they're the first alphabet, you know, like Charlotte's Web, you know, they're the ones that create the math of how we operate. And so you know, they come into the knowingness of language. Yeah, interesting. My son had a huge vocabulary, but couldn't read well. Dyslexic. Tarantula was good. Did tarantula help with the dyslexia? Restless. Loves to be outside. Active. Always in motion. Going. The brain tumor piece. The brain tumor causes a kind of nausea, sweating, kind of falling apart thing. And then the sensation of the mom was like an anxious father pacing in the hospital room. What am I going to do next? Going back and forth. I got to get out. I got to go. Like a firing in the muscles. There's something excess in the body. There's a firing through the body. And then she's like, it's a poison, a liquid poison, an altered liquid in the body, coating the muscles, like an environmental insult, like shots, like toxins. It's a foreign nature. You want to get it out, right? So that's that kind of like neurotoxic feeling. And then bombarded, the whole feeling of the body. See, she gets into it deeper too. Then she says, I see a spider, a furry black spider. It's creepy crawly. It's yuck. She says she's clairvoyant, clairaudient. I used to be a reader, like read people, but she needed structure, so she became Christian and she dropped it all. Her brother committed suicide. She said he was just like me, could just see everything in people. She wouldn't charge people for it because it was a gift. The first time her brother tried to kill himself, he drank antifreeze. That's like does that sound kind of weirdly spider to like drink antifreeze? Like, I don't know, it sounds like really toxic, you know, like some green poison into you. Yeah, that was a really painful, because she felt him so closely. They were so close. So he killed himself, and that was like a really deep thing. And he started speaking to her from the other side. So we did latrodectus. I remember in the case, the child developed from some strong fever reaction to this remedy, and it literally recovered him. I mean, he was 4, so it was helpful to see him at that point. But she pulled his supplements. She did 3 times a week of latrodectus, and he became neurotypical like within like, the teacher's like, there's nothing wrong with him, his hyperactivity calmed. He basically got this like massive fever and like, lasted for a while, and we worked through it, and it was great. You're like, oh, I wish every case could be like that, but it was deep. I think that we were able to, she kind of tapped into that, and maybe there wasn't as much to move out once we could get that toxin out of him with the prescription. And we did mercurius too, and some flu vaccine clears. He did great. So this is a tarantula. So this is the classic spider remedy of sensory overwhelm leading to movement and aggression and then dullness. So this was a kid who had autism plus epilepsy, so seizures. So kids could have like, such a neurological inflammation that they're seizuring all the time, and these spider remedies can really help with that. Choreic movements. This child, again, hyperlexic, always in a hurry, wanting to run off. Hyperlexic, but only says 800 words. So he stares at letters, likes letters, likes to draw letters. This mom went so deep in the sensation process. This was a military family. There was a lot of like mercury and vaccines too in the family. She was, the description, she just, sometimes people get so poetic, and so beautiful. So she said, my skin is rippling. My head is hurting. My eyes are burning. My chest is sweating. I feel like bugs are crawling on my skin. I need to get out of my skin. It hurts. I need to get out of my skin can be snake too, right? Itching, dry and hot, biting me over and over, crawling on me, pinching, grabbing me. That pinching can also be insects. So I had my Culex case recently, he was a pincher. He just come up and pinch you, it was Culex. So, yeah, dullness, sedentary, leading to massive aggression can also be kind of snake. It's like where is the I kind of feel like the sedentary, like the real sedentary feels a little bit more you just have to kind of think of the quality of that animal. You see snakes, are kind of like, they're very earthy, and they just want to kind of just sit there, and be in the sun. A spider is kind of waiting on edge on his, you can kind of like feel that, right? So biting, head piercing, noises are clanging, too many sounds coming at me at once. So yeah, she keeps talking about black furry bugs crawling all over her, slicing her, clawing at her, attacking her. So then he had seizures. What was really amazing about this remedy, he had aggression, pinching, disjointed, bending his fingers, his joints are disjointed, popping back in and out. So doing this like, like that's so spidery. Music is soothing for him. He dances, knocks his head, stomps his foot, and we've talked about that. It's tarantula, regulated by the rhythm. Kids that are doing that, like needing that. He is mischievous, likes to joke, will steal candy. Stealing can really be a spider thing for sure. Little criminal, tiny little bit of criminal in there. He's feigned that he hurt his foot and he laughed the whole time. So yeah, faking illness. He problem solves to get around things. He'll tease, interact. OCD with cleaning. The OCD. like really OCD, things need to be a certain way. I feel OCD is way stronger with the spiders than with, if you think about their own patterns and needing things, you know, more than the snakes, right? Tourette's, you know, Tourette's can be definitely tarantula. So I was like, okay, is it going to be tarantula, Theridion, Cantharis? I gave tarantula. Um, right off the bat, sleeping easier, eye contact, still crying a lot. What was so interesting about this case was his head shrunk in size. So from his seizures, he literally had a swollen skull. Like it was like there was like fluid, you know, and she said his head shrunk a third in size from taking this remedy. So the inflammation, it brought the inflammation down. Now imagine living with that degree of suffering. You guys have the opportunity taking this class and knowing, you know, special needs kids of really relieving suffering. You know, you give a remedy like this to a kid who's, you know, the pain of living this way is tragic and hard. And it's amazing when you can kind of really release that in someone's life. Is there a spider remedy that follows tarantula well once the ADHD is gone, but there's other spider tendencies left over? So that's so interesting because definitely for sure I've given spider remedies and the ADHD component is what's still there, you know, and so it can be so variable. I would say like mineral, you've got to think that these tubercular spider cases, it's kind of like the structure of the body is not so strong, and the neurological part of the body is strong but over firing and kind of starting to kind of degenerate. And so you've kind of taken away maybe the aggressive spider, but then you still have this kind of depleted system. You want to build up the minerals, you want to build up the adrenals, you might need acid remedies for kind of burnout, like the tela-arenea, phosphoric acid, sulfuric acid, phosphorus for, you know, rebuilding, sometimes phosphorus 6x, like a cell salt of phosphorus to build back the energy in the body. You know, I've definitely seen given a lot of spider cases and then tuberculinum right under it for the restlessness, the weak lungs. So yeah. And then you can, you know, we could look in the materia medica and see sulfuric acid. Sulfuric acid, you know, has this kind of burning quality in the intestines and in the body in general. It can have burning stools. Yeah. So we did MMR detox too. His cognition's excelled. He's done things he's never done before. His talking's better. His connections are making connections that were just not there. OCD now is in the way. And then we did strep, you know, and then we do the strep for the OCD and to bring the Tourette's down. So, you know, so you get the good constitutional, and then you could do the vaccine clears, the strep clears, you know, build them up with minerals and cell salts. And yeah. This mom added camel's milk in, and that really helped to build him up anymore. You know, he's not saying shut up anymore. You know, being at home with a kid being like, shut up, shut up, shut up. It's really hard. You know, the ASD kids, and some of you guys have them, who are just constantly at it, you know, it's very exhausting. But, you know, recognize that in these cases that there is burnout. These cases are existing because there's burnout. Lyme disease creates that burnout. You know, there's you know, just too much viral stuff. The immune system broken down, minerally depleted, creates that burnout and creates this tendency to this spider picture. Okay. This is, I think, the last case I'm going to share with you. Look at how freaky that spider looks. One of you said that you got a this spider. This is, I think, the brown recluse. Is this brown recluse? Yeah, brown. This is the brown recluse. So when they bite, they create an abscess that like never heals. Like the bite can like kill a large animal. They're super gnarly. Yeah, I mean, it can kill you. So suicidal depression, right? You can think about that, right? Ulcers, a lot of smoking, very dark. I wish I could show you the picture of this mom. She was beautiful. She had gorgeous makeup on. She had bulimia, a lot, major bulimia, like vomited a lot. And she was nonstop exercising. So she would just one exercise. She was really beautiful, exercise, vomiting. I don't even know how women like her get pregnant. Actually, she had a hard time getting pregnant. Smoker, 10 cigarettes a day, eating disorder, still struggled with it, miscarriages, multiple miscarriages. This was so interesting. There was this like thing going around that was popular where you strap this device to your belly and it makes a beat. And like she would do this with her kid. Let me see if I can find it. I used Baby Belt Plus. It was a Walkman thing that sent a rhythmic heartbeat, a beating pattern. It was all over the place. You strap this machine to your body and you're supposed to switch the patterns. I didn't do it right though, and he would move more when I wore it. It was a big product at the time. How ridiculous is this? Like, what more does a baby, like, they need our heartbeat? Do they need a device giving them more beats? Like, who comes up with this stuff? Like, it's like the baby monitors with the radioactive. Like, who comes up with this? Like, it's terrible. A spider person came up with this and was like, oh yeah, we're gonna make more spider babies if we can get a lot of pregnant moms to strap this thing to their belly and say it's gonna make them smarter. You know, this pissed me off. I was like, this is just so too much. I actually looked it up. It still exists out there. Loss of bladder control, gagging. So this kid had little rashes, like bites that would develop into open sores all over his back and body. He did the Houston homeopathy, which helped, but all of these breakouts would happen and they couldn't find a remedy to like help him with these like open sore breakouts, right? That just had a hard time healing. Here's a picture of him and he had one of those hemangioma things. It was like a star, she said. Here's like what the little breakout would look like on him. Here you can see on his back, but it would kind of cover him. What else? Drums on everything, always does a drumming beat, always hitting, you know, these kids, and they're just good. Think of people who are like always bouncing their knee and tapping on things, you know, it's a really spidery thing. It also can be, you know, I've seen kids who are really metally, like cuprum kids, zinc kids. Don't forget the metal overlaps with the neurological system, the burned out neurological system, you know, overlapping with spiders. Yeah, that kind of little bit of restlessness, you know, just, you know, needing to kind of move that restlessness out, get on the trampoline. He stems off objects that have a U shape. So see, he's into the U shape. You know, it's so interesting to me when kids are interested in a certain shape. You're like, what is that? Strange gait, no real rhythm to his run. So he tried to rhythm out things, but he didn't have a rhythm in his own body. And that's was so important in talking to you guys about the spider remedies. Hands are tight and tingling, aching, body feels jerking, feels like the body is too light, like it could float away, making me jump, like the wind could blow and I could float. So there's that lightness too you can think of with the spider. That's different with the snakes. The snakes have a heaviness. You know, they're like, they're on the earth, you know, they're happy to not have any legs. Um, yeah, a lot of grief, a lot of overwhelm. This was a mom who came from an immigrant family from Asia, and there was a lot of trauma in her family heritage. You know, a lot of darkness. Um, she had a memory of the bites on her legs. She almost lost her leg, but nobody cared. Like her parents were just like, just deal with it, you know? And she felt really betrayed by that. So we did Loxo, and more appropriate speech helped with the sores. Um, she did well with it, and then went to Napmir, but it was really challenging. It was very dark. You know, I had medium success with the case because of how heavy and dark it was. The mom she was just kept, you know, she was the bulimia and the smoking and going back and forth, and it was very hard to get some of that cycle to stop. If someone, oh right, so that was also this, I think it was this, it was the remedy of Latrodectus macdans, black widow spider, is a shocking experience and feeling it around your heart. And that was this one where the woman's brother committed suicide, and that was the shock. Oh, right. And she would like she had these like brain tumors, and she would like pass out. So that was that was this case, Latrodectus macdans. Right. So yeah, it's not like every traumatic witnessed experience you need a spider, but that kind of differentiates this spider a bit, of that like shock to the heart, you know. Maybe, you know, people who get, you know, when they do those like shocks to the heart in the ER, you know, that's a real latrodectus, electrical, you know, shock to the system. That could be a good remedy for that. So, that's it for the spiders. Um, yeah, kind of looks like tinea on his skin. Your house is full of witch spiders. Oh my goodness. Um, you know, spiders, see if there's anything else. Oh, I just wanted to say there's a spider called Mygale, Mygale, Mygal, and it's the Cuban spider. Um, and we had the greatest case when I was a student, and this was a guy who came into the student clinic, and he had something. Gosh, I can't remember the name of it. It has a diagnosis, but it's when the penis, when it's erect, bends, and it's because the tissue gets really tight, like the penis tissue. It literally, and so he couldn't have sex because his penis was no longer sticking straight out when he had an erection. Peyronie's disease, thank you. Yes, Peyronie's. And thank you. And oh man, he was he loved sex. He had a wife he had a lot of sex with. He was really into it. You know, spider remedies could love sex. You know, it's rhythmic. It's a release. And he was really, I mean, clearly this was a problem for him. He was this businessman. He really you know, was very competitive. He was also like an engineering type. And the funniest, craziest thing is he would take a protractor and measure the changes in the angle of his penis and graph it. And bring in pictures of the graph of the changes of the angle of his penis and like show us pictures of his penis to at least my supervisor. Oh man, it's so great. And she gave Megale, this was, you know, my supervisor at the time, awesome homeopath. And it cured him. It cured his Peyronie's. His penis went straight again. And he was like this is a miracle. Like, I have all the data. I wrote this all down. You've got to publish this, you know, and I'm sure like nothing really happened with it, but yeah, a beautiful thing. Like amazing things can happen with homeopathy and the right remedies. So any other like really good cases? Yeah, that was the wait, hold on. I think I put it in here. Mid Mygal. Oh man, it's in here somewhere. Oh, here, black Cuban spider. Yeah, they become victim to their excesses, an attitude of doing something against their society. So they do things in a very exaggerated way. Their sense of balance is missing. So if they have sex, it has to be 20 times, or if they drink, it has to be like 4 liters. So this guy probably just like, it literally was like having like way too much sex, and his penis was just like, not gonna happen. Also violent erections. It is, you know, it has that. Disordered, uncontrolled motions, upper half of the body, chorea, upper half, dragging the legs, violent erections, tics of the mouth, constant motion, mutter to themselves about business, talks about many projects. This was completely this guy. Is continuous nervous cough and knee shake tarantula. A cough tick. I've never tried a spider remedy. So let's differentiate, because the nervous system is what we are primarily treating with pandas, right? And we're treating so much in autism and Lyme disease in general. It's the deepest layer of ourselves. All remedies can treat the nervous system. I've treated cases that have had chorea with just plant remedies, and then the plant remedy got rid of the chorea, and then it was like a snake, you know, like cicuta. Cicuta is a poison hemlock, and it's for weird facial tics, like, you know, like you're doing like these weird things. You know, that's challenging, right? Because you're like, there's so many remedies that can treat the neurological aspect of kids. You know, I think that there's always going to be too kids who tend to be more vata, more air, more neurologic, and we have to do things like I'm this way. You know, we have to do things to really build up our minerals, build up our body, build up our muscles, relax, you know, be in a relaxing environment, to balance that out. You know, that helps us put more earth energy onto our bodies. And isn't that the time right now, you know, to sit at home, earth, eat more, put on some muscle, do some squats, do some push-ups. That's my feeling, Abby, is like, you know, maybe there's a subtle spider remedy that doesn't have these qualities of intense competition or mischievous or, you know, criminal behavior, and it's not tarantula. And then you have to kind of muscle test it. Like, oh, ask the universe, do I have something with spiders? Did I have a spider bite that was really strong? Yeah, tics are a release of energy. It's just a release, right? And what other ways can, you know, in shaking your knee, can you like release your energy too? You know, it can be a sexual thing, you know, to need to release the energy. Maybe once he starts having more sex, it will change. Yeah. Yeah, the video gaming it really stagnates, you know, the video gaming really stagnates our energy in our body, because we're making one part of our body run, our brain and our fingers, and then the rest of our body is just sitting there, and that's not really, you know, fully integrated. Hemlock remedy is cicuta, and you know, it's in the same family as conium and coriander. And it's for the feeling of attack. like I'm getting an attack of something and it's attack that's really sudden, and it feels like you've been attacked from like behind, like literally like someone's just taken, boom, that kind of like sudden surprise attack. Is Sakuda. Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions, discussion on spiders? Yeah. Okay. All right, good. Yeah, I think, with this, where we're at societally, is the age of spiders. Feel like technology is super spidery too, because it's like, it's really about connection and go, and the web and staying busy all the time. And the spiders can really help us, taking the spider remedy, kind of the spiders, nux vomica, ignatia, inflammatory remedies, help us kind of let go and just relax. And then we can kind of really be in spider energy too, just kind of try and see the big picture. I've got this like beloved astrologer who's one of my friends for a long time, who is a genius when it comes to astrology, seeing the big picture. And I asked him, I was like, what do you think of this COVID? Can I interview you? And he's going to let me interview him and then post it up. And it's going to be so awesome. Water dosing versus dry dose, could it make a difference? You mean like with spider? It feels like some of you are like, have tried tarantula, but nothing happened. And you're like, I feel the spidery stuff, but I don't know what to do. And how can I clear out this spider energy? That's what I'm kind of feeling. And I really want to feel into it. So what spider is it, for example, for you, Abby, like, is a spider remedy needed? And I'm feeling no, that it's neurologic, but it's neurologic because it's exhaustion. It's like it's doing too much and being adrenally exhausted in that whole picture and stuff. And then I do feel that maybe for you, Anne-Marie, that there could be a spider remedy in there. And I've felt it before, and it's a hidden aspect in the case related to dad and a busyness, and it's not fully expressed. It might be in a kind of, maybe like it's there through, is it there in speech? Does he stutter a little bit? Let's see. Yeah.
So, he's definitely has a lot of repetitive vocals, but it's mainly in his hands. Like, that's the most chronic thing, his ringing of his hands. It's constantly wringing his hands.
Uh-huh.
But he just fits spider so well. And I've tried a tarantula more recently, but I'm thinking maybe this pteridium has this ringing of the hands. Right. And I don't know.
Right. I feel there's, and you can think of like the hands. I feel the hands as an extension of the heart energy too. And, kind of like something that needs to move or flow out through that part of his body. And, yeah, it feels like there's a block, and I'm not quite sure to what it is, because it's like I can see that, but I feel like there's something in the way of it. And I don't know, Mallory or anybody online that's super sensitive can kind of pick up on a virus as a block. Okay. Clear the virus first. Yeah. Yeah, and is it a virus? So I'm feeling that it's possible the AIDS no zone. I don't know, is that one that you've done before?
No, I've never done that.
Yeah. And not to say, there's AIDS in the family or whatever. It's more like the energy of what that is, which is a really depleted state. And I guess I should probably try and find the proving of the AIDS knows that there's a very in-depth proving. Actually, Pierre Fontaine participated in on it. That is worthwhile. I feel do you feel that, Mallory? Do you feel that about the AIDS? Um, yeah,
Hey,
there, and maybe that there's something hidden. There, it feels like there's something kind of not really wanting to come out.
when I tested AIDS, I got yes, but then I read Erin's comment about mycoplasma and I got yes for that too.
Yeah. And was Michael something that you guys have done?
No, I've never
No.
tried that.
Okay. Okay. Look at you guys. I love it. So try
Thank
that
you.
and let us know how it goes.
Thank you so
Anybody
much.
else want to around with, some pretty powerful intuitives online? All right. So we have like 10 minutes. I did put some notes in on the reptiles. Why don't we do a meditation? I'm just going to quickly kind of touch on the reptiles. I've touched on them with like our shadow and clearing them, the reptilian energies and everything like that. But we'll just do a meditation and we'll get more into the reptiles next class. Let's see. Okay. All right. Yeah. So, we all have the reptilian brain. This would be nice for you guys to read it. This is something that, this is my writing that I still want to edit, but is for the book. I try to kind of balance out my writing to have the positive and the negative. And I really feel that, I sent out this today, just for the notes for this class, which really should be titled Deep Dive Class 6 Notes, but I put 5. You know, because I feel like the judgment of spiders, or sorry, the judgment of the snakes so strongly, because it's kind of like it's so deep in our cultural heritage to demonize the snake energy, but then also that the snake energy embodies the demonization of it. But then there's the flip positive side to it. And I try to kind of express that because we all have this within ourselves. I feel like it's our sexual energy, and it's our power, and it's our earth energy, and it's our creative energy. Um, and that's important for us to recognize. And if we can own that side of ourselves, we don't have to judge the reptile part of ourselves. A lot of people who need the reptile remedies, it's like they're embarrassed that they need the reptile, or that they've taken the reptile remedies. And a lot of people, like, they don't care, but it's kind of like, it's like a bad thing, and like, I don't want that at all. Like, some of the most powerful healing comes after I've given lachesis or dendroaspis. But I have to say, in so many cases, it takes me forever to get to the point where I give it, because that aspect in people is hidden. Like, I don't see it until I'm like, oh my God, they need this, does that make any sense? So, it's just that deepest layer often. And it could be that I need to kind of work through a lot of layers to finally get to that layer. First, I have to work through Ignatia and all of this stuff, and then finally, get to the shadow. Yeah, and the shadow, we've got to, we can see aspects of our shadow, and we judge the shadow. Like, we judge it. We judge guns, we judge violence, we judge sex, we judge porn, we judge all these things, and because we shove sex, under the rug. We shove violence under the rug, that we're this violent society, and we're so afraid, and then it blows up in our face. And kids, like, it's just, we don't have culturally a way of integrating the shadow. Maybe a lot of cultures don't, but other cultures used to really, talk about, and integrate this into, like, teaching youth, teaching teenagers, how to become responsible adults by learning about violence and learning about, power. And so, yeah. Um, I will go deeper into this, reading into this, because this probably could, like, just talking about this, take me a while. Let's do a meditation on the reptiles. So reptiles, remember that it includes alligator, lizards, snakes, boa constrictors. I'll just read through them, and then maybe these will come up for you in the meditation today. So alligator, lizard, puff adder, boa constrictor, pit viper. You know, I fell into a certain top leader in our country needing pit viper. I was like, oh my God. Like, can I intentionally dose this? Bungarus, copperhead, chameleon, crocodile, rattlesnake, mamba. This Dendroaspis is just so awesome. Beth and Michelle are like, are really good at figuring these cases out. Elaps, Heloderma, the Gila monster, sea snake, Hydrophis, for paralyzed kind of quality, like a part of my nervous system has been paralyzed. My kundalini has been paralyzed. Iguana, sand lizard, dinosaur fossil, python, and then there's also frogs. Frogs are amphibians, which I don't know. I guess I need to teach those. Tortoises, turtles. Anything else? Alligators, dinosaurs, reptiles, lizards, snakes. All right. All right. So let's just go into the shadow right now. So just close your eyes and take a deep breath in and out. And as you exhale, breathe all the way down your spine, all the way to your belly, to the area right up where your ovaries, where your sex organs are. And put energy there, put your awareness to that part of your body. And feel any emotions, any sensations that are there. And keep breathing and keep breathing. And this is the part of you that bleeds, gives birth to babies, that poops, that pees. And it's the part of you that also moves when you walk, that squats, that dances, that has sex. And just really feeling into that area. What do you feel? What shows up for you? Any sensations? And I want you to remember when you felt sexual. You felt like you were a teenager. And you felt desire. And it excited you. It propelled you. Or you felt fear, suppression, domination, abuse in that area. Be present with it. And taking a deep breath in and out, I want you to imagine walking on the earth in a forest or somewhere where there's trees and dirt and rocks. And you hear a rustle and you turn and you see a reptile. You see that guy. Its eyes, its movement, its quickness, its hiding in the shadows. It doesn't want to be seen, it's scared. Or it feels threatened. You feel threatened. It might come after you. I want you with your heart. Open your heart to this reptile. And reptiles feel the warmth of love. And feel and direct love. You are my medicine. You are my staff, my source. You are power. You are connected to this earth. You have been here longer than I have. I don't judge you. I don't hide from you. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with this part of my body. There is nothing wrong with desire, with sex, with creation, with my body. I claim the power of my body, of the earth. And in all ways that I've given it away, I take it back so that I can live life, enjoy life. Claim my power, my willpower, my choice power, my vital force power, my creative power, my power to love. And claiming your body, claiming its wisdom, claiming your sexuality, claiming the lower aspect of yourself that is deemed less than. I honor you. I honor your wisdom. I honor my body's wisdom. I honor the wisdom of the ancient power within me. And take a deep breath in and out and feel her power as a force in the world today. She is also known as Kali. She destroys and she creates. And taking a breath in with the cycle of her creation. Bearing witness to the destruction of institutions, of people, of information, the confusion, insanity, the darkness, chaos out there. Claim your power. Claim your inner wisdom. Claim your inner truth. Claim your own experiences, your own life. And take a deep breath in and out and just shed. Shed anything that isn't yours, like you're shedding a layer of skin. Give it back to the earth. Come into your heart and feel the love of this group. Ask for evolution and growth in your life. Healing, love. Ask for whatever it is that you want to manifest right now. And own it in your power, own it in your body, own it in your heart, own it in your reality. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Okay, all right. Anybody have a certain snake or reptile or anything show up for you? The gecko. Wow. I have to find the proving on gecko because, I mean, I think it might be the same as the sand lizard, but rattlesnake, very powerful. Very powerful liver medicine is the rattlesnake. Tortoise, I was shocked. Tortoise is showing up in a couple cases of mine too, which is like it's a very slow down, pay attention, ancient. Bright green snake could be Natrix natrix. That's the Natrix natrix. I love it. It's just the grass snake. Black snake dendro. That'd be a good black mamba, and that could be a really good remedy for black snake. Brown rattlesnake, great. Crotalus cascavella, Crotalus horridus is the rattlesnake. Lizard, there's some definite lizards out there. Komodo dragon, and the Komodo dragon is a horridus, the Heloderma, I think. Snake came from the trees. Yeah, cool. All right, you guys. Now you have nothing to fear. You've integrated your snakes. Viper was my young, fierce image. Dendro was there. Thought about the abuse. Dendro is such a good one. Yeah, I saw Cobra, which is Naya, Naja, which is very much the representative of Shiva, Shiva the Destroyer, and in Vedic, philosophy, that is the Destroyer creator, Shiva. So thanks for shedding, you guys. Cobra. Oh, okay, you got Cobra too. Yeah. So Cobra is interesting, has some heart stuff, and it's a lot like phosphorus. So, wants to connect. All right, lots of love to you guys. So we'll talk about the differentials on snakes and cases and stuff next time we talk. And hope it was a really good class. And we'll keep evolving. I guess we're evolving, and we're also like, discovering our ancient selves too with the snakes. So, all right. Love you guys. And I'll be in touch on Facebook. I'm not worried about Facebook, whatever. We'll post things, not post things. If it doesn't work out, figure something else out. It's working now. Okay. All right. Bye, guys.